Hello everybody, and welcome back to the second part of the three-part series here on this channel, where I compare bargain luxury lighters. Last time we took a closer look at the classic Cartier lighter, in particularly in the Santos design. So if you haven't seen that video yet, check it out, it's a real good one. Today we talk about the big daddy if it comes to luxury lighters, ST Dupont. And now, ST Dupont is mostly known for their insane prices, for special editions, and for their super high quality lighters. A base range ST Dupont that looks like this from their classic line can start at around $700 US. So nothing about that is a bargain. Now, this lighter right here, I purchased this particular lighter for about 50 euros, which is about $60 depending on the dollar value. Now, how did I get it so cheap? Well, these aren't that expensive. I got a really good price, but you can generally pick one of these up for around 70 to 100 euros, depending on obviously condition, service records, and also the equipment and boxes that get shipped with it. Now today, as in the Cartier video, I will talk about what you have to look out for when buying one of these, how you do simple maintenance, and generally just things that cross my mind during the video. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So, first up, let's give you a nice look around the lighter. So, what you have to understand is that there are, from the classic ST Dupont line, there are two models. And this is the line 1 model, and the very famous one is obviously the line 2. The line 2 is slimmer, and it has a flame height control valve on the bottom. The line 2, particularly the Great Gatsby model, is also known for its classic iconic bing sound. A general misconception is that all ST Duponts have that bing sound. That is unfortunately not the case. So this one does have a slight bing sound, but it's nowhere near as clear or as bingy as the line 2. So let's take a listen. So it is pretty nice, but it's not comparable with the line 2. So these come in lots of different patterns. This is just one of many. What you have to keep in mind is that the silver plated ones like this, they start to rub off. So you see a slight gold sheen underneath here, and that is the actual material these are made out of. Brass. Right. Now, there are also two models of the line 1. So this is the more popular one. This is the big one. There is also one which is shorter. It doesn't look as good in my opinion, just simply because of proportions. Most of them have initials here. That can lower the price. If you don't care about that, and the initials are really weird, like QW, right? You might be able to get it cheaper because a lot of people don't want to have the initials of someone else on there. Because it just looks like they stole it or something like that. I paid a slight premium for this one because it actually had my initials, so that is a positive. and they are factory applied or shop applied, so they look the part, and it would be rather expensive to redo it like that. So I was really happy to find one with my initials already on there. Now let's take a closer look inside the lighter. Now, previously I mentioned that there is no flame height control. Well, not as we know it or as it is useful. So here there is a shutoff. That is sort of flame height, but it's more of a on and off switch. You see, you can make it bigger, but it's not really, it doesn't make that much sense. So you see it has a beautiful high burning flame that it is extinguished simply by closing the lid. Now I always switch the gas off as soon as I'm done using it. It doesn't leak any gas, but I just feel better doing it like that. Excuse me, because I only use it to light cigars, so it doesn't get much frequent use. Now, talking about servicing it. Now, how do you exchange the flint? First up, before I explain that, I would always recommend using authentic ST Dupont flints, simply because they fit and they work properly. Zippo flints do not have the correct diameter, and you just don't want to cheap out with something like this. These are like $3. Just get the real ones. For these classic line ones, I would recommend, or I was recommended, the classic black flints. The red ones are, or the blue, but the red ones I think are for the later one. Now, how do you exchange the flint? So you press down right here, and then this thing goes back, and right there, you have your flint. Actually, you have so much space down here, you can actually store an additional flint. And then close it just by putting your finger here and sliding it forward. If your lighter hasn't been serviced in a long time and there's a lot of caked up residue from flames, I would advise you to clean up everything before, especially the stone. And then it might require a little bit more force than just pressing down here to actually get it open. That was the case with mine. Mine, you could barely see that there was actually metal underneath. It was just totally covered in residue. The lighter is beautifully machined inside. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, now let's get to gas. This is a bit of a difficult one. Before you buy one of these, you have to make a decision. Presumably, because you watch a video on bargain lighters, you look for the more budget-friendly version, as did I. So, ST Dupont is known for their gas cartridges, you could even call them. And they're like a little cylinder that you screw down here, and it automatically fills the lighter up fully. So there's one dose in those. Very handy, very convenient, very expensive. I was not ready to pay upwards of $10-15 to fill it up once, when a normal, can of gas is $5, and that's a large one. And I could fill it up several times over. So I didn't even consider buying one of those, maybe to complete the set, maybe just one. But I wouldn't have used it. Now, because once again, as I mentioned in a Cartier video, ST Dupont does not have better gas than the rest of the world. They do not have their own gas source. It's just simply, the convenience factor. Now, so I went ahead and okay, let's refill this. So I take out my tip set, and there is not a single one in there that fits. ST Dupont does not allow that to happen because they want obviously to sell their expensive cartridges. Now, eBay has a solution there. There is this little metal tip with a rubber seal. It comes from China and it's about $3. This fixes everything. So to refill your lighter, you need a coin. I always use a cent American, but you can use European ones too. 5 cent works best. If your lighter is leaking, most likely the issue is down here, because there is a little rubber seal right here. Mine isn't looking too good either, but it is not leaking. This might be where your issue is. Now, here you go. And then just take the tip, put in here, and then you're able to fill it with every normal run-of-the-mill gas. Just make sure it's a little filtered, you know. Don't buy the very, very cheapest. That's like filtered once. No, it's not good for your lighter. Because then there's more residue when it burns off, and it just means that you have to clean it more often, and you don't want that. So another thing when buying these, you generally have to watch out for fakes. Not so much for the line 1, which I have right here, but for the line 2. There are lots of fakes out there and they have gotten really good. Also, when it's hard to say, I got really lucky, knock on wood here, with this one. I bought it cheap. It was a non-runner. I took it out of the box, I cleaned it up, and I saw that this was not on. I turned it on and it lit it right up. So that is obviously a best case scenario. Is that something that happens all the time? No. I would advise you to buy one that is already working or that has already been serviced. Because when there is a real issue, you don't want to deal with it. And it is very complicated to take all of this apart in very small parts. If you're a handyman, if you want to have some fun, go for it. But if you just want a lighter that works, buy one that has already been through a service. There are lots of pages on eBay that provide those services and also sell lighters that have already been serviced. So I would go for one of those. It's definitely worth the $20, $30 premium, believe me, because as soon as you take it apart and then can't put it back together, it's just basically worthless. You can sell it in parts maybe, but honestly, it's not worth the trouble. Gold ones are generally cheaper. Also the tacky 70s patterns, which ones used to be a lot more expensive than these simple ones, are cheaper. So if that's your thing and if you want to save a little money there, go for that. It's particularly true for Dunhills, which will be the third episode. It'll come up soon. I have a seal cut on the way with new seals. I'll be changing those. If you want to see a video on how to change those, I can do that. Please let me know in the comments down below, and that video should publish in about 2 to 3 weeks, so stay tuned for that. Let's talk about packaging. As you can obviously see, I do not have any packaging for this. And now there are a few reasons for that. First up, I was looking for one with packaging, but this one had my initials, and it was just too good of a deal to pass up. Also, the packaging isn't too exciting. This letter is about from the 1970s, if I had to guess. Excuse me. And it's basically just a brown box. And that's it. There are papers with it, but they are not particularly exciting, and it's definitely not as nice of a box as the Cartier offers. Later ones are definitely nicer, but I wanted to stay period correct. And there wasn't really anything I can find on eBay. I was looking for one, but I mean the lighter was for $50. I was not ready to pay 35 euros for a box that was super used, even abused as it looked. So yeah, if you can get a box, awesome. If you get like 5 of those gas refill cans, original from ST Dupont, and Flintstones, and a real box with original papers for $100, go for it. You won't regret it, and it runs. Superb deal, because as soon as they run, they're just fantastic. This lighter is so reliable. It hasn't let me down once. You see, it lights up time and time again on the first turn of the Flintstone. It's incredible. All right. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments down below. I'll read them. I reply to all of them. Maybe not as soon as you comment, but I try to do it at least in the time of a week. So please keep that in mind. I've seen in the comments of the Cartier video that you've been really enjoying it, and I'm very happy that is the case. As I said previously, next video is coming up with the downhill. Maybe my favorite. Super cool thing. So stay tuned, and until then, keep looking for bargain lighters. See ya.